911, what's your emergency? 911, what's your emergency?
Be advised, Car 4 has control of the pursuit. Proceed with caution.
Hey everyone, welcome to Behind the Crime Door. I just got done working out, you guys, so you're just getting me like tired and all that. And I'm going to welcome Jinx on because she's with me. Hey lady.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm tired too, sugar, so that makes 2 peas in a pod for us.
I tell you, I don't know how you guys are doing it, honestly. I haven't heard from Frank, so he probably's asleep by now. Because I know
I think he was on Marv's. I saw him over on Marv's.
I was just going to say, because I know he was super tired, and I told everybody not to worry about it if they couldn't make it. So I was just talking just a few minutes ago with Susan and stuff and catching up with her. So, I mean, I get that everybody is just being, pulled in every which direction. So I just wanted to come on real quick tonight and give everybody kind of a broad update of what has transpired over the last 2 days in court, because I think a lot of people were really expecting this to be real volatile and explosive, and we were going to probably learn a lot of things that we didn't know, so on and so forth. And really, that's not been the case, has it?
No, not really. I mean, today was a little bit more revealing on some of the details, But yesterday was, I ended up not staying in because, they had this big, like 4 foot by probably 2.5 foot blown up poster, and it had the crime scene photo and a comparison to a picture that Brad Holder had on his Facebook, and I mean, it was huge, and they did try to angle it, but I know that one side of the galley could definitely see it, and that was the family side, all the Patties and Anna Williams' mom and everybody was sitting on, and Carrie was in there too, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. And Baldwin was waving the evidence of the picture in his hand around in the courtroom. It was very flamboyant and it was very distasteful in my opinion. I mean, I know things were going to be said, but I think they could have had some more integrity about how they went about it.
And I was not shocked, but because that's kind of what they do. But I was shocked that they had to blow it up so big. I mean, I was like, really? That's not even taking into consideration the family and their feelings. I mean, my thoughts are, how would you feel if that was your little girl that was laying there brutally murdered? Would you want this 4-foot picture of that, just blown up like, I mean, it's just ridiculous. There was no reason for that. If they, they could have given the pictures to the parties that needed to see it, the judge, and
Right.
and the prosecution, and this is what we're talking about today. They didn't need to do that. They did that for sensationalism, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I hope it backfires on them. Because I guarantee you the average person, and we're talking jurors now, the average person doesn't want to see those.
No.
And for them, and when you sit on a murder trial as a juror, that you're going to end up seeing and hearing some really horrific testimony and see a lot of really horrific pictures. And once you see stuff like that, you can't unsee it.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
I'm
Obviously,
sorry that happened, and I feel bad for Becky and all of them, and everybody.
They obviously displayed no self-decency, but they could have displayed some for the girls like that, and especially the families who were sitting in there.
Right. Yeah, it's like they don't even, it's just like they're just numbers to them and statistics. It's like, these were little girls who had hopes and dreams, and this is not, give them treat them better, treat them better.
Absolutely.
I don't care that you're defending the person who's been accused of doing this, treat them better. Do your job better. I mean, that's just the way I feel about it. But let's say hello to everybody. I know you guys, for everybody, we're going to try and get through this with the part with Jinx pretty quickly, because she needs to go to bed. She's been up for basically 2 days straight, and she needs some sleep. And I don't want to keep her too long, but I just want to say hello to the people who did make it in. I know that there's a lot of lives going on right now. So if you're here, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for supporting my channel. So let's see. We've got CJ K in the house tonight. 63 Clocks. Jill Moser is here. Rob Lee, Witchcraft, Boston. All of our regulars. Hey, Gail, how are you? Good to see you. Karen G. GP, and there's rescues here, but I know she's going to go to bed as well.
Yeah, I'll text her in a minute too.
Yeah, hi Nana, how are you? And let's see who else is here with us. Just trying to get through you guys. Olivia too, Ziggy. I'm so glad you guys all made it. Hi Daisy. Hey Ruckus. Good to see you. Thank you for being here and listening in. Hey, Frankie. And let's see. Oh, GP, thank you. I don't feel that way today really too much because, like I said, I just got done working out and I actually feel like I look like I've been asleep. So my hair needs to be done and I'm just sweaty mess, but I'm here. And Daisy says, court fries your brain. I'm sure Jinx can attest to that.
Oh my goodness. Yes, you guys. I'm telling you what.
Hey, Troll Shovel. Good to see you. Hey, Priscilla. Yeah, I appreciate all of these guys who have gone above and beyond to be there and to sit in court and listen to all of this because, hey, Cecil Hotel, a lot of this is, in a way, it's just normal antics that happens in court and in trials.
Absolutely.
and you get to see the banter back and forth. And unfortunately, the judge, the jury, the jurors, and all of the people that have a stake in the case are basically handcuffed to that courtroom, and they have to sit there and listen to all of this, whether it's, describing what happened and the crime scene and the crime scene photos, or rehashing something that happened a year ago in court, which is what happened yesterday, from what I understand. So, it was like just basically, rehashing stuff that had already been rehashed. Again, guys, it's me. No way, Fig. Did she really? Hi, Fig. How are you? Good to see you. So, my friend, I really have missed you, and it's good to have you here with us. But yeah, this is what this defense team is known for doing. This is what they've been doing, is, they just rehash the same stuff over and over and over again.
Oh, Lord,
and they just do it maybe in just a little tiny bit of a different fashion. But these motions, all this stuff, everything going back to being in court in June of 2023, this is all they can do. They don't really have anything. And like Jinx said, we found out something pretty big today. Jinx, you want to tell them what we found out today?
Oh my goodness. Which part, honey? There was a couple of them, man. I'm telling you what,
Talk about his look, talk about the psychologist and the doctor, and what she revealed, and what we found out from the warden.
Okay, so
and those kinds of things.
Yeah. Okay. So Walla first. She talked about how Richard Allen had written letters to her, talking about how he wanted to die, didn't want to live anymore, and he also made other confessions about the murders. And then there was a point in time where he had told her that he needed help calling his wife, and apparently she helped dial the number. He confessed to his wife, and then as soon as he hung up, he looked at Dr. Walla and said, "I don't think she believed me." So that was something. That was something.
Because she doesn't want to believe this.
Yeah.
And I think we all know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then apparently he also wrote letters to the warden, a confession as well, I think is what it was. And then I know that when Holman was on the stand, they were talking about the confession and the follow-up that they had done on one, because he had said that he used a box cutter that he obtained from work. Well, that would have been CVS. So obviously they went back to CVS. And yes, through their employment, employees do receive, box cutters as needed for, bringing in product and putting it on the sales floor and things like that. There is use for box cutters at the retail stores like that. So he also said that he went and threw it in the dumpster. So they did investigate that as well. So people have been saying, well, they're not following through on this stuff. Well, yeah, Jerry Holman just sat up there and testified today how they followed through.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, if he said this and this is what he did, you've got to remember how long ago this was.
Exactly.
If he's telling them what he used, I used a box cutter from work and I threw it in a dumpster, that's long gone. That's somewhere in a landfill somewhere. Right?
Well, and here's the thing too, you're talking that dumpster was there in 2017 that he was referencing, So think about this. If you work in retail, a lot of people know how, especially in management, they know how the dumpsters work. That dumpster could have had something malfunction on it, as simple as a wheel fell off and then, it couldn't be loaded or dumped right for the garbage trucks, things like that, sometimes they do cycle them out as well, they get upgrades or whatever, so dumpsters change, so that was something that I found interesting, I thought about too. But I do think that, people who say that they don't follow up on leads, well, the proof is in the butter today. Holman just testified that, they do. And that was based off the confession that Alan had made during a phone call, I believe. And now he was talking about Brian Harshman was an ISP officer, and he's had years of experience. Like I think I heard like 30 years or something. And then also with the assistance of David Vito, we're in control, or we're the ones who are monitoring all of Richard Allen's communications, like calls and texts and things like that. And that's where that came from, was one of the confessions apparently that he had made. So they did follow up on that lead.
And see that I can't imagine, honestly, that they wouldn't have followed up on everything that Richard Allen had been saying or was saying from the time that he sat down with Jerry Holman the day he was arrested. I mean, he sat down before that, but that day that they actually arrested him, when, that's the interview that they want thrown out. And, what is it that he said to Jerry that day? Like we've talked before, what did he say or do that day that was like a light bulb that went off for Jerry Holman that was like, aha, we got him, and we don't know what that may have been yet. But 61 confessions, James, 61 confessions, and 40 of those have no details, right?
No, I believe it is 61 confessions with details, and somebody said an additional like 40 without necessary details. You know what I'm saying? And then I also, I'm not 100% sure. I call BS on my numbers all the time, so I am gonna definitely say there are 61 confessions with, what was I'm so tired, but
it's okay. Take your time.
61 confessions with the details. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. Now, what do you think? What was I going to say? When we're hearing for the first time, a box cutter was the weapon.
Yeah.
And if that's true, if what he is saying is true, they would be able to verify that through autopsy.
Correct. Yes.
One of the things the autopsy does is they take all of those measurements of all of knife wounds. They, all of that stuff. So they would be able to tell what kind of blade was used, how big it was, how long it was, all of those things.
Absolutely. The forensics would come in and help with that, definitely.
And what we know from 9/11 and the fact that the terrorists used box cutters on those airplanes, that's what they used to disable people. We know that they are very effective. Mm-hmm. If you know what I mean. Obviously, we've said before that this crime was very personal, because when you have to get so close to someone as you do when you use a knife to end their life, that takes a lot. That's different than other ways that people kill. And so I think that that's something that we need to remember in this whole scenario here about what we're talking about as to what he did. And again,
it's very close, personal, and intimate. Absolutely. Horrific.
And Miss Persevere says something here that is pretty incredible as well. Can you imagine Jerry Holman's blood pressure when he realized that he was sitting in front of the man he'd been searching for the last 7 years?
Girl.
I mean, it was 5.5 basically when they arrested him. But yeah, can you imagine that feeling? Mm-hmm. I mean, they all must have had that feeling when they realized in their minds, this is it. We've got this guy. Then they get him into jail. You know what I mean? They get him locked up, and then all of these other things start happening. And Fig, said, it came out in court that he did, those rumors of him eating his own feces was true. Washing his face in the toilet. Those are all things that he did, in my opinion, to set up a crazy plea or to insanity plea. And Fig said it too. Frank's with us.
Hey,
Frank.
Jinxie, Kristen.
How are you there, my friend?
I'm fucking exhausted.
I can tell. You look as tired as I think I've ever seen you. I won't keep you if you're so tired.
I done got my second win.
All right, because I was just gonna say I know you need your sleep.
I was over on Mars a little while ago, and I told everybody, I said, I don't know if I'm going to go tomorrow. I said, this bunch of bullshit has been going on for the last couple of days, you know, and I said, I'm tired of this shit. When we went to break at 3:00, me and Jinx didn't even come back. We were fed up with it.
Yeah.
It was bull crap.
Yeah.
You know?
And it was funny too, because you could see like after, I think it was the first hour and a half, then there was 2 people that dipped out and we kind of got little tidbits. And then it was like every 45 minutes or so, like somebody the flies were just dropping and we would get tidbits what was going on and help share that knowledge to y'all.
And you guys were wonderful. You know, Rescue, you, Frank Meister, Susan, you guys who were all texting and giving updates. I appreciate all of you. And I was watching all of the major indie stations had reporters that were checking in during the day and doing 2-minute pieces on what was going on. So It was, it was good to see that too. But I was anxious when I would get my texts or my phone calls from you guys when you guys were updating me on what was happening. It's one of the reasons I decided, I'm just going to go ahead and do a live tonight, because I was like, it's out of my day. I mean, it's a Wednesday. It's not normally when I go live, but I was like, this is going to be more important. I thought after I saw the confession total, I couldn't wrap my head around it at first. I had to make some quick phone calls. I talked to my detective relatives and also talked to my judge buddy. And I was like, you're not going to believe this. And that's what I told him. And basically what they said is he's sunk. Oh. You can't get around that many different confessions to that many different people. It's one thing to cry wolf that possibly this one confession or these 2 confessions might have been coerced and might have been whatever. But we're talking to multiple people. All of these confessions, you guys, were not coerced.
There is no way 61 confessions are coerced.
No.
Like you said, we could see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
But 61.
60.
He is reaching.
Toast, you guys.
He's crying out for help.
Yeah.
Basically
Absolutely.
What's going on here.
And I think once he got arrested and once he realized that they had him, I think it's very possible that he doesn't want his family to know what transpired that day. He doesn't want them to know what he did. And what I mean by that is the details. I
think that his defense team knows that he did it, and he's told them, just plead out. I'm pretty positive he's already done that. But they're ignoring him.
I just really don't feel that they're gonna plead. After the Karen Reed trial, right, and everything, you know what I mean, and everything that's transpired recently, that they're keeping an eye on stuff like that, and I just think, again, like I said, they only have to convince one juror, you guys, one. That's it.
Yeah.
And they're ready to take that chance to try to get that one person to believe their Odinism stuff, or to believe their third party, or to believe that they rushed to judgment, or whatever you want to say. I don't believe they rushed anywhere. I believe that this, and I think we're going to find out even more, you guys, because I think there's a lot more that we don't know.
Oh yeah.
I think today was the tip of the iceberg on the evidence.
So Olivia wants to know, did Richard Allen actually say he used a box cutter? He did in his confession letters, right? Correct?
Yes.
Correct. That was something that he established. Now that was what Jerry Holman had said that he had heard personally on the confessions himself. And again, the confessions were all communications by Richard Allen were monitored by Brian Harshman and David Vito.
Okay, David Harshman.
Brian Harshman.
Sorry, Brian Harshman. What would happen is they had a service going to his phone. Anytime Richard Allen chirped, made a phone call, FaceTime, or anything, Harshman would get a text, and they would send him a link.
Make sure that you make sure you clarify this statement really fast. Yes, they had monitored all communications. However, they did not have any access or ever listen to any communications with his attorney. Because the system that they used did not, that only alerted them to like the personal stuff. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't his attorneys that it alerted them to. So they never dipped into any of those conversations and peeked in on anything. It was specifically every other communication, just absolutely 100% not his defense team. You know, like that was something that Holman did make crystal clear today. That was not something that service that they used offered. It was definitely not for any spying on the defense.
I also believe that Detective Murphy busted the defense's bubble yesterday too, because he was working with Todd Click and Ferenczi through the FBI task force. And when they questioned Murphy about it, he said, yes, us three believe there was something to the Odin. Then they asked him, do you believe that Brad Holder was ever in Delphi? And they said, we could not find one shred of evidence he was ever in Delphi that day. We got the times that he clocked in and clocked out at work. We got the time from the time he left work. He went to the gym, clocked in at 4:08 p.m. He had to be at work at 4:55 or 5 o'clock in the morning. He would get up and go to the gym at 2 o'clock in the morning and go to work from the gym.
Yeah, I mean, he was a gym rat for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, he was lifting weights like crazy and you know, bulking up and stuff. And he had the boys doing it with him. He talked about that a lot on his social media. So that doesn't surprise me that they couldn't place him in Delphi, because I don't believe he was in Delphi. I mean, you know, why could they have placed him there? He wasn't there.
He got interviewed in May of this year, or depoted by the defense, right? And they played 1 minute of it in the courtroom yesterday. And I'm telling you, it seemed like Brad was toying with LE in that interview. They did take my phone. Hold on. Don't quote me on that, because I can't remember if they took my phone. Because originally he said that they called him and Logan to the Delphi Police Department to get their phones. Then later it came out that they went to Logan's school to get his phone, and that's when he found out the girls had been found. So somebody's not telling the truth here. Somebody's not.
Okay, well, that and again, to just remember and to remind people, yeah, you would think that somebody would remember details,
right?
You know, and stuff like this, and you know, it's real easy to say you would, but all the years later, we're talking 7 years later. You know, does he remember exactly what transpired that day? I would remember. I would think if somebody took my phone and examined it or asked me for it. I also would kind of wonder why they were doing that. But if they took Logan's phone because Logan had a relationship with Abby, and I'm going to say it again, you guys, if people don't stop saying that those two were dating, I'm going to lose my shit. I mean, I had 2 more indie reporters talking about who Logan Holder was and that, you know, they were dating. They weren't dating. They didn't go anywhere. I mean, come on, you guys.
But that does bring it back to what Brad Holder said. back in 2017, he claimed he had never met Abby.
Right.
And now all of a sudden he says, yeah, I've met her once or twice, once at the house, and I can't remember where the other one was. But then he comes back and says, honestly, I don't know which one Logan was talking to.
Yeah, that was when I heard that that's what came out in that deposition, that was weird to me.
Yeah.
Because he absolutely knew which one Logan was talking to. He knew it was Abby. He talked about that on his social media after he became a social media suspect, because let's face it, we never knew how law enforcement looked at or investigated Brad Holder or whatever until this past week, really, or this past couple months. Because before that, it was all speculative. We assumed we knew he'd all been he'd been turned in by multiple people. I mean, multiple people had turned this guy in. People knew of his social media. They knew of the picture that you guys all saw yesterday, the $12,000 trip to Georgia to retrieve a picture that was posted on Facebook, on his Facebook, that all of us had. I can't tell you how many of us had that photo.
Right.
And they didn't need to pay $12,000 to go to Georgia to get it.
And a good point that Nick and them said in the courtroom yesterday. Does he know how to email? Does Baldwin know how to email?
I don't mean to put in, y'all, but I'm going to bed. I'm crashing. I love y'all.
Go ahead, Jinx.
I will keep y'all so much for tomorrow. I'll be there. So
are you going to be there tomorrow?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
All right, my dear. Well, love to you. Get some sleep and get some rest.
Love you guys. Have a wonderful night.
Good night.
If I'm there tomorrow, I'll see you.
Bye.
Bye.
I mean, I haven't decided if I'm going to go tomorrow because I've been to every one and it's been the same game every time.
I know. Just when you decide to miss, though, is when something crazy is going to happen, and you're going to be
exactly. It happened today.
Yeah.
We left, and all of a sudden they came out and told us that she told us what Richard said. I'm like, oh my God.
Melissa said that she thinks he had a bad day and snapped. No one was a target. He just snapped at something, and the girls happened to be there. We don't know. We just don't know. But it doesn't, it sounds fishy, because it's almost as if he did go there for a purpose, because why else would he have, hidden his face, done all the things that he did that day to try to keep his identity from being known. I don't know. It's really, really strange. What are some of the points that you took away today? Well, you weren't in there then for most of the psychologist interview.
Yeah, we went to break at 3:00. I'd already seen 2 hours of her testimony, and it was just Rosie was dragging it out, and I'm like, I'm done with this for today.
Right.
And they didn't even get done until almost 6:00.
I think that one of the things that they were trying to do with her was, once she came out and had this damning information, because it's damning what she was talking about, the things, even though she said that he had some severe mental break or, whatever during this time with the feces eating and the washing his face in toilet water and all the other stuff, the eating of paper, all the things that we know he was doing. One, just like Fig said, it was either a ploy for him to start a narrative of him being insane, or have an insanity plea, or use mental illness as a reason to get off, because he's trying to make it look like, and that's exactly what the defense team has done. They've jumped on all of that and said, okay, we're going to use that angle to make it look like the only reason this man confessed is because we threw him in isolation in a maximum security prison, and it just caused him to lose his mind.
Well, today there was something that caught my eye with Richard. He comes in, says hi to Kathy and to Janice, because I sit right behind them every time if I get a chance. He goes and sits down. They're uncuffing him. and he was taking notes. He was well aware of what was going on in the courtroom. You know, he was basically participating in his way by taking notes and paying attention. But as soon as Dr. Walla got on the stand, like a light switch, he was acting fucking weird, holding his face, looking down at the ground, shaking his head, looking up at the sky, shaking his. I'm like, nah, this is a ploy. He turned it on and off like a light switch, and he looked good. Honestly, he did. He doesn't look like he's paranoid. His eyes ain't bugging out. You know.
Did you see what Fig said?
No.
He heard that Mike Osbrook had a bad day today. He might lash out by posting girls being gagged and other sick stuff. So beware.
Michael Osbrook.
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
He's part of the knot.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh Lord. Oh Lord.
Yep, part of the knot.
Oh my God, that's just.
And somebody's screenshotting. I'm telling you right now, I was just over on Marv's and she had me on for a few minutes, and somebody sent me a message, and somebody's in there screenshotting everything and sending it to the other idiots to try to stir up trouble. So I'm just letting you know now.
Oh yeah, well, yeah, of course they are. You know,
right.
Of course they are.
See, the work that we do as a group, like me, you, Ruckus, Miss Deb, Jinx, Rescue, Coach Kev, they're all jealous of our work because we're not going to put bullshit out here. We're bringing facts to you guys. What the Unraveling, R&M, they're not bringing facts whatsoever because they're not in the courtroom.
Right.
And I believe that's why Yellow Jacket went. That's what I honestly believe. She wanted the true information instead of getting bottom fed from other people, you know, because stuff gets twisted that's being said.
Frank, did you see what Daisy said? I saw this reporter's report, and this is true. The reporter said that Rick Allen said to his mom, he turned to his mom and his wife at the end of the day and said, "Love you guys."
Yeah.
Did you hear him say guys?
No, but when he came in from the break, from lunch, he said, "I love you guys." Well, he walks right by me because I sit right on the aisle to where he walks right by me. I run up to the courtroom to make sure I get the seat that I want.
I just think it's interesting because one of the things Susan was talking about, she was on Nancy Grace earlier this afternoon, and she made the comment that he's not, and Nancy brought up the fact that he's not speaking in court. He's not talking to his attorneys. If he is, it's extremely low to where you can't hear him. They don't want him talking.
That's a fact.
Nancy said they do not want him talking. They don't want people to do a voice comparison. And Nancy asked, since they have him, and one of her guests, who I highly respect, the Morgan guy, Jeffrey Scott Morgan, I think he's a forensic teacher at one of, I think, Jackson State University, but he's just renowned in his field. And his thought was, can they compel a voice recording from him to have him say, "Guys down the hill"? And
they can't force him to. And
then, they can compel it just like they can with handwriting. So in other words, if there was some sort of a note or whatever, they can get a warrant to get handwriting from him.
Right. Well, so
they could do the same with voice to get him to say that, so they could try to do a comparison. It will be interesting to know if they've done that.
AI. All they have to have is one word spoken by Richard Allen. They can use AI to create his voice.
Yeah. And it's, and Stephanie Pasoda says, so Richard Allen is a master manipulator.
I believe he is.
Absolutely.
And
it wouldn't surprise me at all.
Before court got started today, Kathy and Janice were sitting in front. Baldwin walks up and leans over. He says, I just want to prepare you guys for the shit that's getting ready to happen today. I was like, uh-oh.
And then he leaves.
Yeah.
Right? Baldwin exits at lunch and doesn't return.
He had another professional obligation to attend
So he had to be in court for a different case, which is probably, fine. I get it. I get sometimes that can happen, but it just doesn't look good. You know what I mean?
Yep. And another thing.
It doesn't look good.
They had Detective Purdy on the stand yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Remind everybody who he is.
He is the detective for ISP. Okay. He was sent to Brad Holder to talk to him about getting information on Odinism, pagan, Van Landers, all that stuff. Okay. And they asked him, well, was he a suspect? And he said no, because he had been cleared. I was not there to question him about the crime. I was there for educational purposes. That's why they ain't got nothing on him.
Right. Did you see what Ruckus said? I have a copy of that Facebook pic from Holder for sale. Its starting bid is $12,000. No low balls. I know what I have.
$11,999.99. How's that?
Oh my God.
Are you going to bust my balls for 1 penny?
See-through says Ruckus rocks. Can you post it or pick up only? Yeah, you gotta go to Florida to get it. Jeez.
Michael Hennessy, you're right on the money. You're right on the money about Hennessy and a bottle of liquor.
Why?
Pick up only my ass, Ruckus. Pick up only.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing that pic a long time ago. Well,
yeah, and when we all had that, because back before he shut down his social media, guys, we were deep diving not only him, but we were deep diving his friends, his associates.
Johnny Messer.
Yeah, there's others that that haven't even been named,
right,
that we've looked at, and I mean deeply looked at. Some of his acquaintances, in my opinion, are even crazier or weirder, however you want to put it, than Brad seems to be on the surface. Brad's got an interest, and his interest is in runes and all of this stuff. That doesn't make him a killer.
Right.
And talk about, Frank, what they said about the runes that's on his finger, that's on his thumb.
The webbing of his I can't remember what hand it is, but the webbing of one of his hands between the index and his thumb has a rune that resembles, according to the defense, the stick figures that were on Abby. Now, my question is, that photo, my understanding, it was like in 2015, but they said in court was from 2012.
And it could very well be that it was. Maybe it was posted, maybe the picture's from 2012, but maybe he didn't post it on social till 2015.
Right.
Anything's possible.
Well, Dean, who was, I can't remember which attorney for the state, when they brought that up yesterday, and he's like, oh, it was Cottrell. He said, how do we know he's the one that posted it on his wall?
Right.
Yeah, no, exactly. See, that's what people don't seem to understand. And you would think in this case, people would, because we have seen so much crap over all the years on social media, on all the different platforms, Facebook, Reddit, here, where people are pretending to be other people, and they have all this so-called evidence, and it's screenshots, and look at what Leaker did, and all the stuff,
Mm-hmm.
It's real easy to make shit up and put it out there as being real
factual
and factual and all of that. So yeah, I mean, I see how they could, they could say that. I mean, it's just crazy. Hey, GonZo, how are you, my dear?
Rescue's going to let me know if she goes tomorrow, because there's no sense of us going at 3 o'clock in the morning, because there was only 15 people there when the doors opened just today.
Today?
Yeah.
Were there as many people then in the gallery as there was yesterday?
Yeah. I mean, it's still filled up, but when they opened the doors,
it was people just coming in later. They weren't waiting in line.
Right.
Stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, get some sleep, for God's sakes.
I got my second wind already. I'm like, damn. That's why I'm on with you.
Michael Myers said, I wonder what Wu-Tang song Rick was nodding his head to.
Wu-Tang. That's an old song, old group. The Wu-Tang Clan. With Method Man.
Too, JK. I do too. I love GonZo's adventures. Ruckus, would you accept 1.7 pounds of documentation in exchange for the $12,000 image?
Oh, that reminds me. Yesterday, Baldwin pulls these stacks. I mean, hold on. Let me cut off my camera. Stacks. Let me go the other way. Stacks of paperwork. Three of them about this deep. And I don't know. I think it was Rescue that said, well, there's the 10,000 pages of fucking shit that Prof sent them. I said, no way.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Daisy says, common theme in our culture right now, rewriting history for personal gain is trending. We can say what we want about Brad.
We don't even know the dude.
About Rosie and about Baldwin and whatever. But at the end of the day, they're just trying to defend this guy, and we may not like their tactics, and we may not like the way, they're doing this, but she's going to let them have a long rope before they hang themselves. And, I'm glad that she's taking this all under advisement. When I got up this morning, I think I had 15 emails from people asking me why the heck she's not making decisions on these motions.
I mean, you guys don't understand.
Yeah, she's got to have time to go back over
all of it.
All of it. It's like, I just feel we've got to give her the time. She wants all the information. Let her gather it all. Let her absorb it. Think about what was said and then we'll get her written answer as to what she feels. She's been very good about giving answers for things that are important. I mean, she may rule on stuff and not give us anything, just say denied.
She called Rosie out during Wallace's testimony. He was presenting stuff as exhibits to the court, right? Before he was doing it, he was having Walla read it. And Judge Gold's like, why don't you just give it to me as exhibit instead of having a witness read it out? And then Rosie's like, did you say this when he was going through her file on Rick Allen? She said, well, if it's written down, I said it or I did it. She was literally being a smart ass to Rosie. You're making smirks at him like, well, why in the hell you want to know about that? Why do you want to know about the company that I work for? All that kind of stuff. I said, this shit is irrelevant, Rosie. What are you trying to do here?
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with the case. Where she works at, anything. What company? Excuse me. It was just aggravating. I think I just had enough for the last 2 days with the bullshit that was going on. I was just getting agitated.
Yeah.
In the courtroom. Up 10 extra memberships were just gifted.
It's Thanks for the gifts, guys. You know, Frank, what is your take on you had to drive home, you've had the time to think about what you've seen, and I know you've been frustrated with a lot of the rehashing of the same stuff that you and I've talked about so much. But what is your take on my feeling right now, based after I've had my conversations with my law enforcement people, my judge friends, everything? I've had those conversations. I think he's sunk. It's going to be hard to come back from 61 confessions. What are you feeling about that?
I was shocked when Diener came out and said that in the courtroom. I was like, 60, hold on. Where the hell did the other 30 come from? Because last we knew it was like 31 or some shit like that.
Right. But we're not going to know. You know what I mean? We're not going to know everything.
Well, my take as of today, after what happened today, he's sunk. After Walla told the court, Richard came to me and asked me to call his wife, and I picked up the phone and dialed it and handed it to Richard. Richard told his wife, I'm the one that killed the girls. And when the conversation was hung up, Richard told Walla, she doesn't believe me. That's damning. That is damning.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Michael Audrey Myers says, gloves off. Why do these people never, ever bring up the evidence against Allen? I think if I hear the name Brad Holder again, I'm going to hurl. So in other words, he's saying, why don't they talk about the evidence? Like, what we know about him being there, what's his alibi? We've never heard an alibi.
He doesn't have one.
And he doesn't have one. That's why we're never going to hear of an alibi, because he doesn't have one.
Yep. As you guys can see, when they came out with the first Frank's motion, remember,
Thank you, it's me, for your $10 donation. Thank you so much for your support of my channel. I appreciate it so much.
Thank you, it's me. You guys got to remember, Frank's motion 1. What time did the state say that, Richard Allen told Doolin that he got at the trails around 1:30, correct? What time did he say he was leaving? Around 3:30, because he went and sat on the bench down on the trail. Okay?
Yeah.
Frank's motion 1. What did the prosecutor do? They tried to create an alibi and say that he was there from 12:30 to 1:30.
And we know that's not true, because he was seen by multiple people and by cameras.
Yes.
And by cameras.
Yes.
See, the cameras at the Hoover Harvest store don't lie.
Nope.
So, Ben, you're very welcome. Thanks so much, Stephanie. I love bantering back and forth with Frank. We do it very, very well.
We get great compliments. Thank you, Steph.
Yes, thank you so much. And like CJK said, who does that? Someone that wants to be believed because he's feeling guilty. He may be being eaten alive by guilt.
I think that's what's going on right now.
I mean, it's very possible. I still say, people want to paint Richard Allen a lot of different ways as being this horrific monster and all of these things. I don't necessarily think he's a prolific serial killer. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. By the way, Richard Allen found God, guys.
They always do in jail.
Said he found God, and that the state took this statement, said he found God, He put the murders in contacts with God. What does that tell you?
Well, if it's true and he absolutely has found God, then he wants to do the right thing.
They sent that in to a professional, and they clearly stated, yes, he's admitting guilt in this statement. You don't put the word murder or kill in the same sentence with God in a positive way. It doesn't work like that. Because what is one of our 10 commandments? Thou shalt not kill.
Yes. And, you know, and that again, you know, he's done what he has confessed.
Yeah.
He has confessed. I mean, if he has accepted God and, you know, found God or whatever, and all of that, then yeah, I mean, he's confessed what he's done, and, you know, he can make it right with him, but he still has to take the punishment of this, of our society, you know? Yep. And my feeling is, you know, somebody in chat mentioned, is he being manipulated by his attorneys? You know, are they trying to drag this out for their own reasons?
Right.
You and I've talked about this, you know, they want to be famous. They want to be famous. They're going to be, you know, talking about this case for a very long time. I think they're going to be infamous, in my opinion. I think they're going to be the guys that we always remember that threw a wrench into this entire case when it got to court.
Shelley's asked me, Frank, did any peer inmate from RA call his family and tell them that what RA said and the family made a YouTube video? No. Richard called Kathy.
Richard called her.
Yes. That's when I was telling you he had a meeting with his psychologist.
Exactly. And he picked up the phone and called her.
Yes.
Told her what he had done. And she hung up.
Yep. And that's when he's told the psychologist, she doesn't believe me. See, we knew about this original confession a couple years ago, but we didn't know the order of how it went, who called, or you know what I mean?
Yes.
Who hung up on who or whatever. We just knew that he had called her and told her, and she hung up or he hung up after it was said. And I think it was Kathy that hung up on him because she's well self-aware that he is incriminating himself on a phone that's being tapped and that's being recorded.
Right.
That's why she hung up.
Frankie Christian says, can Doolin's tip and Alan's statement to him be lined up with the release of the Bridge Guy image like before or after? I think that's so important. It already has been.
Yeah.
We will know all that timeline, guys, at trial. They know all this stuff. They absolutely know all this stuff.
Remember, go ahead.
Was he shackled today?
Yes. What they do is when they bring him into the courtroom, they let him sit down and they take one cuff off his right hand, and that empty cuff, they put it in the loop on the waistband belly chain. So he has one hand free and the other one's still locked up. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes. So Sees Through says, was box cutter mentioned, or was someone just making an example in chat? No, it was mentioned in court.
By Holman.
Jerry Holman said that this was part of one of his confessions.
And I think you were going to the CVS to look for it. But he said by the time they got there to look for it, there was nothing there. There you go, CJK. That's perfect. They said RA is worried about not getting into heaven. So he's trying to get right with God for what he did so he can get into heaven.
Right. You know, if that, like I said, I mean, and that's all well and good. You know, we're not God. God forgives. You see what where I'm going with this. He still has to answer for the deed he did here in our society.
And then you got to deal with God's law after the fact.
Exactly. Yes, Shelley. He said he used a box cutter from CVS. CJK said, sadly, I don't think Kathy cares that he confessed. She wants to be in denial to give herself an excuse to stay with him.
You know, that kills me. Why is she on the state's witness list? I still haven't figured that one out.
Yeah. She could be there supporting him and being in court, but that doesn't necessarily mean that she doesn't believe that what he's done.
Well, I can tell
We
you
don't
this.
know we don't know the ins and out of what's going on with their relationship, guys.
Right.
We can only be on the outside speculating. So for us to say what Kathy's doing or not doing or what she feels or doesn't feel, we don't have the right to do that.
Right.
Because we really don't know.
She has cried in court, and that's a fact because I've witnessed it. I've sat behind her every hearing.
Hey, Captain, how are you?
Oh,
so
wow.
Good to see you.
What's going on? Howdy.
Good to see you. And yeah, maybe she's going to be a state's witness on, did she know where Richard Allen was that day? But she doesn't have to testify against him.
No.
So that's the thing to remember. She, in this country, a spouse is protected from having to criminally implicate their spouse in something. She doesn't have to do that. And I absolutely believe these two were together since high school. I believe that she loved him beyond everything. And she just could absolutely be in denial. And I know you guys don't understand that, but it is what that, I hate saying that, but it is what it is. I mean, if that's how she feels. And yeah, they may have to have her confirm that she was the person on the phone call that he called.
Right.
She may have to sit up there and say, is this you on this phone call?
Right. That's a good point.
What did you think of Gull today when you were watching her? What was she thinking about all of this stuff?
The last 2 days, she's just been laid back. Not really questioning motives of why you're doing this or why you're doing that. She did one point where she's like, why are you having her read this turn in as an exhibit? That's about the only time. Yesterday, you didn't hear a peep out of her. Everybody got along in the courtroom. There was no yelling back and forth. None of that.
I saw a picture of her today. She's lost a lot of weight.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of weight. She had that health issue in November.
Yep.
And I'm wondering, if she, you can definitely tell that she has lost a lot of weight. She doesn't look like the same person. And I just was wondering how she was dealing with this, because you guys felt like, he was kind of, Rosie was kind of asking questions of the psychologist that really weren't relevant to the case.
Right.
I think part of that was what we talked about before. What's the defense's angle? Well, when you don't have a defense, you have to attack the credibility of the expert witnesses. So when they were asking her about her job and about work and stuff like that, they were trying to look at her credibility.
Right.
And is she credible? Because I know somebody mentioned that she had posted on social media. Why was she posting on social media about this case?
I'll tell you why.
If she was treating Richard Allen. Go ahead.
She's been following this case since 2018. She admitted that. Her and her boyfriend on company time drove from Indianapolis, heading to Chicago, and went to Delphi to go to the bridge and the trails. That's how invested she's got into this case, besides being Richard's doctor.
Just because she's invested in the case doesn't mean that she's being biased one way or the other.
Right.
It just means that Abby and Libby's story has, has captured so many of us and so many people. Okay, for the last time, we've already talked about this, but since some of you guys came in later, you can either go back and watch the live, or Frank, will you briefly tell them again what was said about the box cutter from CVS?
He listened to, Holman listened to or read a transcript of something, a conversation with Richard Allen. And said that he used a box cutter and he threw it away at the CVS trash can. And Holman went to try to retrieve it, and by that time, it was already gone.
And did Holman say when he tried to retrieve it?
Let me see. I'm looking at let me go back to Holman.
Because again, if this was in 2022 that he tried to retrieve a box cutter that was used in a crime in 2017 from a dumpster, you would not think it would be there, right? It's going to be in a landfill somewhere.
He had only Holman admitted today he has only actually been talked with Alan face to face one time.
And was that after or before?
It was.
Was that the day he arrested him?
Yep, that day. And as a matter of fact, I was getting back to Purdy. Did I explain this? Purdy had already been advised that Brad Holder had been cleared, and the reason why he was interviewing Brad Holder was to try to learn about paganism and Odinism. And they were pissed off. Rosie and them were pissed off about it. He said,
about
I'm not there. They were pissed off at Purdy. Why didn't you treat him like a POI? Because he had been cleared.
Exactly.
You know? You got a pencil and paper?
That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to show, or they're trying to plant the seed in prospective jurors' minds that ISP didn't do their jobs and that they made a rush to judgment that these guys were not involved. They didn't look at them, but they did look at them and they did investigate them. And Purdy, attests to that.
And it just goes back to when the defense is trying to claim they intentionally erased or destroyed evidence. Once again, some of these interviews that they did with Westfall and Brad Holder and Johnny Messer, it was not because they were POIs. It had nothing to do with that. They were trying to learn about this religion.
Yeah.
And Purdy made that very clear. You know, do you got a pen and paper handy?
Yeah.
Do you got the dates for jury selection?
I don't.
Yes, I've got the dates. I've got it all here.
Okay, go ahead.
Hold on, let me go back to the page. Okay. Jury selection will be from October 14th to the 18th. Okay. Times.
So they're going to use 4 days to seat the jury.
You're right. Starts at 8:30 in the morning until 1 p.m.
Each day?
Yes.
So that is in Allen County?
Yes. 50 jurors per round.
Okay. How many rounds do they have?
Until they get their jurors.
Okay.
They will be sending out the jury questionnaires the first week of October, and they have to be back within a week.
Right. Okay.
So we got dates for jury selection.
I'll get that all written up, and I'll do that on Word or something, and then I'll send it over to you so that we can post it on our community pages.
Motion to suppress filed April 15th of this year.
Yeah.
The statements, the 61 confessions, we have 5 different entities that he had confessed to.
Right.
His family, inmates, guard, the warden, Dr. Walla, and the prison chaplain. So that's 7.
Cecil Hotel says the box cutter might be a lie to show it was a false confession through autopsy saying differently. I don't believe that. I mean, it could be, but I don't buy it. Because I mean, if he was going to set up that and if he's trying to manipulate them, then maybe, but we don't know. We won't know until the autopsy is revealed.
A pathologist can tell you,
yes,
know if it was a box cutter or if it was a knife.
Yes.
Period.
Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely.
Oh, and I guess they were talking. Somebody was telling me about Dr. Walla.
Yeah.
She's got a system that she can get into, but she's not supposed to. She went into the Keegan Klein case through this system.
Oh, Lord.
And Kim was telling me this girl's about to get fired. She's about to get fired. And being a psychologist, and you have one of your patients is a case that you're following. Come on.
What if the Wabash search was for a box cutter?
I have no clue.
You know what I mean? Because stop and think about it. You know, if Kathy was taking care of mom up in Peru and he was driving to and from, you know, he could have just said that he threw it away at CVS.
Right.
Maybe he didn't. Maybe he threw it in the Wabash. We don't know, guys. Like I said, I think we're going to find out so much more as we get, you know what I mean, as we get into the trial. Opening statement from the prosecution will be huge. I want to tell everybody when Nick McClelland gives his opening statement, take notes, because what he says in his opening statements, he has to prove. The opening statement from the defense, no. The opening statement from the defense, they don't have to prove any of what they say.
It's the burden of proof is on the prosecution.
It's all on the prosecution. And if you don't understand what I'm saying, just go back and look at the Jose Baez
Casey Anthony,
his opening statement and all the things that he said in it. And there were a lot of things in his opening statement that he didn't even touch on. So again, those are ways for the defense to plant seeds in the jurors' minds of possibly not guilty or not being the person culpable. And again, just like we've been saying, they only need one.
Right.
Right. And they only, Olivia too, you better be, you're in my chat.
I saw that.
You learned from me. You better be taking copious notes. But yeah, you know, you just have to. I mean, we don't know. We just don't know. There has been a lot of talk and speculation today. I've seen different chats and chatters about the whole digging up at Keegan Klein's grandparents' house. I don't believe that's where they were digging. I believe they were digging at Richard Allen.
Yeah. Oh, the fire pit at his parents' house.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, we just have to, you know, keep moving and keep plugging along. And as we learn these bits and pieces, we put them together. Do they fit? Because it's like a puzzle. Does this fit? And remember, if it doesn't fit, what did he say?
You must have quit. Delulu Bishes asked me and you, do you guys think it will happen October? I'm not going to say yes or no because they still have 2 continuances they can use.
Right. And they can definitely do that. But I believe that Gull is over and done with continuances unless there's a really good reason and
explanation why. Yes.
The closer we get to trial, that's going to be, because if they even get close, if that jury questionnaire goes out, I don't see them stopping it. Because again, you're uprooting people's lives. It's not just the family members' lives that have to take off work and all this stuff, but you know, I just don't see it. I mean, I don't see a plea. I do think we're going to get a trial eventually here. Now, I could be absolutely wrong. He could wake up tomorrow morning and Frank could have gotten wind that there's a plea deal.
Yeah, I'm reading GP's answers right now. Right now, I'm leaning toward a plea only because of what happened today. Only reason is because of today with Dr. Wallace's conversation and Richard Allen calling his wife. That's damning. That is very damning. How is the defense going to get around that?
Oh, absolutely. They've got a lot of crap that they're not going to be able to get around. And a lot of it is in the confessions. Big says, I'm willing to bet that Keegan Kline wasn't mentioned in any of the 61 confessions. I would bet that as well.
Right.
I absolutely would bet that. Nor was Ron Logan. I don't believe that either.
I don't even want to hear that name no more.
I know. I'm just saying.
We're past all that.
We're past all of that. We are. And especially in this chat and this channel, we are. And
we've worked too hard to fucking go on some bullshit that we know is not true.
Exactly. And speaking of that, I know you talked to Becky today. How's she doing?
She's doing fine.
Good.
She's a strong-willed woman. You've met her. You've talked to her.
Yeah, I know.
She's worn a dress the last 2 days to court. And that's the first time in 3 years I've seen her in a dress. It
goes back to the respect of the court. And
exactly.
I think that's respect for the girls. I mean, this is an important thing that's happening.
Carrie was there with her 18-year-old daughter.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
God, I can't get over those girls are that old already. God.
Anna's parents were there. We had Tara.
Was her dad there? Has Anna's dad been there?
No.
Okay.
I know her mom was there today. We had Tara. We had her youngest son that just graduated from high school was there. We had Becky and Mike. We had Carrie and her daughter. We had Diane, which is Becky's sister. We had Brad's wife, Brad German's wife, which used to be Nick McClelland's aunt.
Right. Yeah, because all the rumors that all these trolls want to put out there about Nick McClelland having the ends with the Patties,
They're related. That's a conflict of interest. No, you idiots. They're not related.
They're not related. Yeah, exactly. I mean, in these small towns, you have so much of that. Everybody knows everybody or is related somehow. It's what happens in these small communities.
Right. And none of anybody that lives in Delphi that is not actually involved in the case does not go to the hearings. Me and Jinx went in the office tower and I walk up to the bar because I got me a Diet Pepsi, got her a water, and all the girls sitting at the damn bar just looked at me like, that's a new face here. And I said, yes, you see a new face in Delphi, don't you? I said, but I'm not really new because I've been coming here for nearly 3 years now covering this case. You talking about Abby and Libby? And I said, yes. She said, we don't even want to hear about it. Nobody wants to talk about it in that town, period.
It's been hard for all of them. You can't even imagine. I can't imagine how they all feel knowing that this person worked right there all those years,
right
underneath their noses, and that they interacted with him. So, it doesn't surprise me at all. But I do believe that town supports Mike and Becky a lot more than,
yes,
absolutely.
Very much.
And tell them, speaking of that, Frank, tell them what was going on tonight.
The Patty family, the German family, wanted all of us YouTubers that go to the hearings and everybody that supports the family that goes to go to the doghouse tonight because they were giving away $30,000. And by the time it was over with, I said, I'm beat. I cannot go to a bar and hang out, especially when I don't drink. I just can't go to a bar anymore because if I don't drink and I'm sitting there watching these damn idiots getting drunk and acting stupid, I don't want to be around none of that. Yeah. Honestly, I don't, because I was a bartender for over 20 years and I've seen everything under the moon that comes in and out of bars. And after so long, you get tired of seeing 21, 22, 23-year-olds getting drunk and acting stupid. And then you think to yourself, did I act like that at that age when I was drinking? Damn, I was a fucking idiot. I was a fool. That's why I don't go to bars no more. I don't.
Yeah,
I haven't been to a bar in probably 10 years.
Yeah, I try to stay away from them because usually if I do go, I usually go to out of the way ones where there's not a lot of people, and maybe stop in for one drink or something with friends. But yep. I don't go sit in bars and stuff. But Yeah, Nancy Grace had Susan on. She was also on Benny Politan. I talked to her quite a bit. I talked to her on Monday night. She contacted me and let me know that she was coming in for the hearings. And
she contacted me too.
She is going to be on my show either Friday night or one night next week.
She was applauding the hell out of meeting you again today. She said, "I love Frank and Kristen."
She's a hoot. And I, she told me, she goes, "You two are so good together." She said, "You guys ask the right questions. You're back and forth, the back and forth we do." And we hear it, like I said, all the time.
Right.
And so, yeah, I was happy to hear that, that she feels that way. Cause again, you know how much I respect her.
She said, "You guys are good."
She's, she's got it going on.
Yes.
I'm glad that she came in. I'm glad that she was here for Becky and Kelsey, because they built a foundation with her, not only with just the case and everything, but there's a huge connection. And she wrote the book with their blessing, and she really cares about them and about this case. It's not about money to her. It's not about fame and fortune. And I love her.
We made sure that she got to sit with the family. We made sure of that during these hearings.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And you got, like I said, you guys were all there for her, and she respects you. So,
been doing this case for 3 years and been to every hearing. I think today's hearing and yesterday's hearing are the roughest ones I've been to. Not just because of what was being talked about and things of that nature, but you guys have got to understand, me and Kristen and all of us creators are more like journalists or reporters. We are up night in and night out. We'll get no sleep. Nothing, just like a reporter.
Eat and drink the case, and
that's
the thing.
You neglect your own personal self.
Yes. Yeah, I did that for quite a while, like you said. And that's why I took back my life and had to take back my health,
And like me and you talked about, that's why I haven't been doing lives. This case is honestly taking a toll on me. Because I've followed it so close, and I'm so close to the family,
Yep, I know. And when they hurt, we hurt.
Exactly.
And we can't take it away from them. It's the same as Steve and Ruckus have gotten so close to Drew.
Right.
For the Evansdale case, it's the same thing. You so badly want justice for their little girls, and that we're in a system right now where anything is possible and anything can happen. And I don't want to see them disappointed.
Mike came up to me yesterday. He said, Shane. He said, "Man, I really appreciate what you have done for our family." I said, "I'm just doing my job, dude. That's all I'm doing."
Mike's a great guy, and he stays off of social. He doesn't follow any social media or any of that stuff, because if Mike did, people wouldn't like his responses.
Oh no, he is. If you guys would ever meet Mike, he's the most laid back, chilled gentleman you would ever meet. But I would not want to cross paths with him, Tara, or Anna. Period.
Nope, because they're strong people. And to go through what they've gone through and survive it to the best that they've done, they have to be.
Right.
And I think we need to remember, because I'm going to get off here because I want you to go to bed. And what I want to remember is why we're here. Why are we here, Frank?
It's because of this right here. I'll tell you why. I'm the only one that does this.
Yep.
I'm the only one that does this out of all the creators. It's about them. It's not about me. It's not about Kristen. It's not about Miss Deb, Ruckus, Coach Kev, nobody. It's about these two young ladies.
And I do want to put out a shout out to Deb's True Crime Notebook. She has done a bang up job at doing shorts, trying to cover this trial the best way that she can. And it's been amazing. She's been spot on. Yeah. And I appreciate her. And for those of you out there that haven't, subscribed, go subscribe to Deb's True Crime Notebook, because she's got it going on and she's doing really well.
Yes, 3 o'clock. So I don't miss any of the hearings because somebody's got to be there to give detail of what's going on in that courtroom. And you're going to have people that are going to come on their channels or whatever and twist what's actually going on in there. I had to do this from Allen County hearing one time. I was hearing shit that allegedly happened. I said, I went live immediately.
And he's like, that didn't happen.
No, I said, you people that weren't there, quit putting this bullshit out there.
Exactly.
Exactly.
But guys, thank you so much for being here. We'll wait to see what happens and transpires tomorrow. They'll be in court at 9 a.m. tomorrow.
It'll probably be a full day again.
I think it's going to be a full day because they've got a lot of stuff yet to cover.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? I just appreciate all of you who support this channel and have supported the Delphi case and justice for Abby and Libby. That's what the bottom line is. That's why we're all here. Fig,
thank you.
Captain Howdy, all of my moderators, all GonZo, all of the people who support me and are here. Thank you, guys. We have the best community here between Frank and I and some of our other creator friends. You guys are all this. We have all the same kind of people, and we appreciate you.
Yes,
so
very much so. Very much so. We're not going to let nobody down.
Yeah,
we're not. We won't let nobody down.
Ben, you're very welcome.
Y'all know how I roll. I don't come up with no bullshit. I'm not going to try to manipulate nobody's brain and believe in anything I'm saying. I put out exactly what comes out of the courtroom.
And that's the way it should be. We're not here to make ourselves look good or whatever. That's not why we do true crime. That's not why we're here.
I don't know what the youngest person is in this chat, but you guys are going to understand. Kristen's older than me, but we've lived life. We've been through everything. Now it's time for us to give back to the community. That's what I look at. Yeah, it's time for me to help people understand what's going on in this case. And I'm very good at it. And I'm not trying to brag. I'm very good at this, and that's why I devote my time to get the information out to you.
Well, all I can say is that, I'm going to report what happens and you guys can make make up your own minds, but I'm not going to put garbage out there to you either. I don't believe that.
What's Witchcraft saying here?
I believe you guys all over the damn news channels.
Me and you especially.
Yeah, that's what she said. So I was like, okay.
All right. Well,
yeah. Good night, everybody. Yeah. Have a good rest of your night, and we'll see everybody.
You can tell I ain't had no sleep.
I know. You need to get to bed.
All right. Thanks, Kristen.
My dear.
Good night, guys.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.